Welcome to this session. A friend of mine mentioned that she was with a group of people that were arguing about free will. It's an interesting group run by a philosophy professor that just likes to talk about such things. I found myself thinking maybe it would be better if they talked more about free won't. I think this has some relevance to my ideas about healing. Okay, let's start with free will. It seems to me that if you exercise free will, you do something just because you think it'd be fun. And it's probably a nice thing to do, or it's a good thing, or anyway you feel good after you did it too. Just because it's you will to do it. Kind of like a 3-year-old. I think that's the reason I started making these videos. In fact, I'm probably a better 3-year-old now than I was at age 3. I'm healthier, for one thing. What about free won't? Simply, is somebody free to say, I won't? Now this applies to all kinds of habits, some of which are useful and some of which might not be. Are you glad you watched that television show? When you look back at it, are you stronger or happier or more comfortable? Are you glad you had that drink? When you look at an alcoholic who is going to get drunk every Friday night, or all weekend or something like that, do they want to get drunk? Are they glad they did it? He says, no. If you walk up to one whom you know and you say, are you glad you did that? They'll stare at you like you're crazy. And there are all kinds of things like that that we can think of as false, like abusing somebody, but you don't have to be go to jail over this or ruin your life. You could be a manager who says some harsh words to an employee for no good reason other than who knows what. And if you ask such a person why they did it, they come up with all kinds of, oh, there's this and that was bad and that was a problem and my great aunt and this and that, and all forced you into doing this. And so you were unable to say, I won't. Where does this come from? Well, human consciousness has characteristics of its own. Consciousness is empathetic, likes to really reach out to people. Consciousness is loving, curious, likes challenges, always is interested in things. Curious, I think I said that. Do we always act that way? I don't. You probably don't either. And, I mean, habits are habits. They don't always have to reflect that. If you have a job, you do it. And hopefully you are better off as a result. At least you can eat. Hopefully you enjoy your work. But there are some things that we look back at that we really wish we could have said no. We wish we were free to say, no, I won't do that. Doesn't even have to be a big deal. And people go to Alcoholics Anonymous for years to reach the point at which they could do that. Why do they do it? My guess is parasites are controlling some aspect of them. And I can't say I explain why that is something a parasite might demand. There's some thought that drinking alcohol is essentially a sugar source for yeast in the body, but I couldn't prove it. After my first marriage, when I was married for 18 years to a teaching and professional psychologist, I'm not convinced she understood it any better than I do. So what are the characteristics of consciousness? Well, they are these various things. What are the characteristics of the parasites? Parasites are always frightened. Parasites demand control. If a person is constantly controlling others, that person is being driven by their parasites, because human consciousness just isn't like that. Is that bad? I don't know. We are designed for the consciousness to be the leader. That's why we have this up here. We're the only species that does. Now, you can't blame a parasite for controlling. You can't blame it for being constantly frightened, and you can't blame it for having a very short-sighted point of view. I mean, it is what it is. You could perhaps blame yourself for not being able to take the leadership in your body. That might have something to do with your own physical health, because if the brain is not healthy enough to be strong enough to do it, then somebody will step in. And if that somebody is a parasite, you will start to behave like one emotionally. The issue of health then has bigger connotations than most people realize. And I suspect it's true. So it seems to me that free won't, for most people, is where we would want to start. And use it almost as a diagnostic technique. If I cannot say won't here, what is it in my body that's interfering with my ability to lead? Because that's, after all, what I really want to do. And the truth is, we are a group of communities. We're designed to be that way, and these things we call parasites are in fact part of the design. And truth is, they're better off when we're doing our leading and doing it well anyway. That's what they're designed for. If they start leading because we are not, it's not really a good place for them either. They know they don't do it well. So this whole thing becomes a health issue, and it might be that asking the question about free won't could actually lead to some kinds of healing that people do not normally do. It might be useful. Good talking to you. Look for you again.